What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Adventure Bound and what has become my favorite series on this channel, Abandoned America. This is going to be episode 3, and in this episode we're going to be exploring the state. You probably already saw the title, so you already know, New Hampshire. And I love driving through this state. It was so beautiful, all of the mountains and the nature. It was absolutely incredible, but we had to pop out to a couple abandoned spots. So you're going to see 4 abandoned different spots from New Hampshire. Starting off with, first and foremost, an abandoned train that was still on an active track. And I've been to a few different abandoned trains before. This one stood out to me because not only did it have beautiful graffiti on the inside, like all the other ones that I've been to, but this one had an active train on the tracks come through while I was inside the abandoned one. So I thought that was really sick. You guys got to see that in this video. Once we're done exploring the train, we get to visit a abandoned motel that we just actually randomly stumbled across. Like, we stopped at a Dairy Queen, we wanted to get some food, and we look across the street, and there's this beautiful, over 60-room abandoned motel. So we went out, we explored it, tried to get into some rooms. It was very difficult. Most of them were boarded up or locked up, so you'll get to see what we got to get into. After that, we get to explore the ruins of an abandoned castle that was in New Hampshire as well. And then last but certainly not least is the Laconia State School, which was this massive complex that has been abandoned since 1991. And this complex was insane. There was parts of a church there. There was buildings that still had power. There was police there. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that. And I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of this video. I'm going to pop in and out, give you guys some facts on some of the history of some of these places, and enjoy the rest of the video. I'll talk to you later. Oh yeah, you guys should definitely also subscribe, by the way.
The conductor's seat. Or the caboose seat, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what's left standing of the Storybook Inn. Once a charming family resort at the heart of the White Mountains, today is a shell of its former self, decaying, silent, and frozen in time. The story of this inn begins in 1947, when Raymond and Stella Clark bought a small farmhouse. They transformed the property into a seasonal getaway, and they named it the Storybook Inn. A fitting title for a place meant to capture the imagination of post-war travelers heading north for the summer. Over the next few decades, the Clarks expanded the property into a full resort. By its peak, the Storybook Inn had nearly 80 guest rooms, indoor and outdoor pools, a restaurant, and multiple wings spread across forested hillside. Families came from all across New England to stay here. They were drawn by the crisp mountain air, the nearby ski slopes, and the nostalgic roadside charm that once defined American travel. By the 1990s, visitors were already leaving warnings in travel guides. Complaints of moldy walls, outdated rooms, and collapsing ceilings. That's not a good look for a hotel or a motel. That is not a good look at all. The pools were shut down, the restaurants closed its doors, and slowly the once proud resort slipped into abandonment. Ownership stayed in the family, but the decades continued. Today, the Storybook Inn remains shuttered, and its future is uncertain. Everything that I looked into, all the rooms, it looked like it was in good condition. There was still furniture, there were still all these things. There really wasn't much vandalism either. My favorite part about this motel was the front door because it had a sign that said coming back for the season of 2022, which means that this thing had literally just shut down a few years ago, which explains why it was in such good condition. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up now. You guys can enjoy the rest of this one. I'll see you at the next location. Deep in the woods of New Hampshire stands the ruins of what was once known as Madame Sherri's castle, a crumbling staircase and fragments of stone wall, all that remain of a mansion built for parties and dreams. The story begins with Antoinette Sherri, a costume designer from New York City's theater scene in the 1920s. She was eccentric, bold, and known for her taste for luxury. When she retired from show business, she bought land in New Hampshire's forest and began to build her personal retreat, a castle unlike anything else around it. Locals watched in fascination as this grand stone mansion rose from the trees, complete with a winding staircase, arched doorways, and ornate balconies. But the glamour didn't last forever. As the Great Depression hit in the 1930s, Madame Sherri's fortune vanished. The castle fell into despair, and the woman who once hosted lavish parties became a local curiosity, known for wandering the road in a fur coat, driving a vintage Packard car long past its prime. In 1962, tragedy struck when a fire swept through the estate, reducing the castle to rubble. Only the stone foundation and the grand staircase survived, a haunting symbol of what once was. Today, the ruins are part of Madame Sherri's forest, where hikers can come across the famous Stairway to Nowhere. Moss and vines are now cover the stone, nature slowly reclaiming the legacy of a woman who refused to be ordinary. What remains isn't just a ruin, it's a monument to creativity, ambition, and the fleeting beauty of fame. This is Madame Sherri's, one of New Hampshire's most haunting reminders of the past. "30 feet that way is a cop sitting on the side of the road. But this looks sick." Alright. There's a police officer posted up literally 30 yards that way. He's literally right down this road. On that road to the right, he's right in front of these buildings. Tucked away in the hills of New England lies a place frozen in time. What was once filled with voices, laughter, cries, and footsteps is now nothing more than broken windows, empty halls, and echoes of a painful history. The Laconia State School was built with the promise of care and progress. Instead, it became a place of confinement, neglect, and suffering. Today, it stands a haunting reminder of a past that society would rather forget. As we step into the ruins, we are not just exploring abandoned buildings. We are walking through the lives of thousands of men, women, and children who were sent here, some for care, others simply because they were different. The institution first opened in 1903 under the name the New Hampshire School for the Feeble-Minded. At the time, there was a growing national belief that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities should be removed from society. Supporters claimed it was compassionate, that separating individuals would give them proper care, education, and safety. But beneath that promise was something more troubling. The school was also built on the era's belief of eugenics, which is the idea that people deemed unfit should be hidden away and prevented from passing their traits to future generations. Early records showed that the first population included children from ages 3 to early adulthood. Over time, the buildings expanded. By the 1910s, there was almost 300 residents. Over the next few decades, the school grew into a massive complex. By the 1940s, it held many hundreds of residents. It became its own self-contained community with dormitories, classrooms, barns, workshops, laundry facilities, and auxiliary buildings. On the surface, it seemed efficient, but in reality, this was a machine designed to manage people, often at the cost of their humanity. The population wasn't limited to those with developmental disabilities. Children from poor families, orphans, people struggling with mental health challenges, and some individuals judged different by society often ended up here. Many were placed here permanently. Walking through the dormitories, you can see rows of beds lined up from wall to wall. Residents slept side by side with little to no privacy. Here, the mornings began early. Meals were served in a large dining hall where hundreds would eat together in silence. Food was simple and plain. Sometimes it was scarce. Work dominated much of life here. Residents worked in laundry rooms, kitchens, and on the grounds. Some also worked in other institutional work. For the institution, this labor helped keep it running. For residents, it was expected, a constant routine of chores with very little choice. Education was minimal. Some children attended basic classes, but many were assigned to work crews by their early teens. Opportunities for learning and growth were limited here. The system often perpetrated dependency rather than independence. Medical care was one of the most controversial aspects of the school. On paper, residents had access to doctors and nurses, but in reality, treatments were often outdated, inconsistent, or neglectful. Staff shortages were documented, nurses and practitioner positions frequently unfilled. Some residents reported being physically abused, slapped, kicked, hair pulled. In one well-documented personal account, a former resident named Roberta Gallant said that she was slapped and kicked, and her hair was pulled, and suffered worse treatment, including burns from cigarettes. There was also a powerful film named Help Wanted, made by a parents' advocacy group called Great Bay, which showed the outside world what life inside the school had become. The film exposed broken toilets, overtaxed laundry, lack of personal space or possessions, and generally poor living conditions. Abuse and neglect began coming into the spotlight more steadily in the mid-20th century. Overcrowding was severe, and hygiene was poor. The staff were overworked and often undertrained. Many speak of emotional neglect and isolation. By the 1970s, families and advocacy groups were pressed for reform. Lawsuits were filed. A judge ordered the institution to reduce population and provide least restrictive care possible. By the 1980s, population had fallen, and in 1991, the Laconia State School closed permanently. Residents were relocated, and the campus was abandoned. Walking the grounds today is like stepping into another world. Nature creeps in through broken walls and windows. Trees grow where beds once stood. Silence hangs in the air, broken only by the wind through shattered windows. Every hallway tells a story. Every peeling wall, every rusted bed frame, every broken door carries the weight of the people who once lived here. For some, this place was a childhood. For others, a place of punishment. For many, it was the last place they ever knew. The Laconia State School is more than an abandoned campus. It is a symbol of how society's failures can be hidden behind brick walls. It's a reminder of what happens when compassion is replaced with control, and care is replaced with neglect. Today, the ruins stand silent, overtaken by time and nature. But silence does not erase memories. The stories of the people who lived here deserve to be remembered. Exploring places like this isn't just about abandoned buildings. It's about facing history, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. If you guys have made it this far in the video, I just want to stop for a second and ask if you could make sure to hit subscribe and hit that like button for me. It's free, it helps me with the algorithm, and it helps promote my videos so I can get closer to doing this full time and I can quit my job. So please help me out, hit subscribe and like. I appreciate you guys. We'll get right back into the video.
Physical fitness test scorecard. Blue.
If you guys made it this far in the video, thank you so much. You guys are true G's. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys so very much. Comment below what state you guys want to see me explore next, and go check out some of the other videos in this series. This is Abandoned America, Episode 3. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace. Subscribe! Potato.